Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we, the representatives of different civil society organizations from different parts of the world, attend the COP. We follow the negotiation for quite a long time, at least from the year 2007 when the Bali Action Plan was launched. Since that time, we always try to express our feelings, ideas, and opinions on the issues and concerns that are being addressed by the parties in the Conference of Parties. So here now, today, we, some representatives from different civil society organizations, we are in a press conference. We would like to express our feelings, ideas, and opinions here today. And at the beginning, I will request Mr. Soyod Aminul Haq, who is from Bangladesh, and he is representing Equity BD and some other networks. He will be sharing the concept note or the main, delivery of this press conference today. However, let me introduce myself. I am Ziaul Haq Mukta. I represent Campaign for Sustainable Rural Livelihoods in Bangladesh, which is a coalition of 250 grassroots campaigning organization. And I am, as a member of this, coalition, moderating this session. So I would like to invite Soyod Aminul Haq to read out the main paper.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, dear journalists and participants. The COP26 being held at a crucial and historical moment, and it is in a transitional state in the context of past failure of its commitment. But we are hopeful for future. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that the 6 years since the Paris Climate Agreement have been the 6th hottest year on record, and this happening due to our addiction of fossil fuel and pushing humanity to the brink. We want to echo his expression and saying that climate change is a global problem and suffering us all, regardless poor and rich, but responsibilities go to the rich countries as they are still big polluters. So that a new partnership with best economic and political realistic climate action is needed. The tasks of the next year and decade will be delivered the finance, resource, and appropriate tool for rapid action at an appropriate scale. Dear journalists, we have seen that global leaders in COP26 have made their commitment to fight climate change, but frustratingly observed their inaction to enhance a realistic NDC projection and financial promise to support the MBCs. This is very political skepticism, tend to do nothing and shown less transparent in their action, in fact. So we all urge all parties to accommodate all necessary elements to achieve the target of Paris Agreement described. We have put the following demands, those expected to be adopted within COP26 process without any delay. Net zero emission is ambiguous. We demand zero emission target. The development country leaders, especially UK and his other allies, have adopted the concept of net zero by 2050 and put the issue on the table of discourse. We want to say it is a de facto climate goal and some flaw hide in such plain sight and so-called net zero emission by 2050. The net zero emission is a phrase. They represent magical thinking and future technology obsession. That means we presume enough hypothetical carbon emission and pencil out plan that is not have in realistic scenario. So collectively net zero concept and climate target allowed to continue rising level of greenhouse gas emission instead of their reduction directly. Apart, deadline by 2050 feels comfortably far away and encouraging further procrastination to climate action. Who feel urgency over a deadline in 2050 is a big question. This is convenient for leaders to escape and inaction, which is less so for anyone who needs to livable planet. So we call to all country parties to stop the discussion such vague net zero emission and start the discussion zero emission target through ending the fossil fuel and ending the carbon emission. keep 1.5 degree alive by resetting the NDC target. The recent climate action announcement by big polluters giving an impression that the issue are turning around with an illusion mostly. The latest published report NDC show that it would still condemn the world catastrophic 2.7 degree increase. Even in the best case scenario, temperature will rise above 2 degree. So we ask to keep the goal 1.5 degree alive and demand to develop country for a greater ambition on mitigation and immediate concrete action to reduce global emission by 45% by 2030. This will have to be done through revision again their NDCs according to the principle of common but differentiate responsibility and in light of national circumstances. We expect non-market approach to implement the achievement of Paris Agreement target. Unfortunately, non-market approach have been left behind in the negotiation, given less time and less emphasis we observe. Our negotiators have tied themselves year after year around the complexity related to so-called carbon market, and still we have seen it unsolved. Non-market approach have potential to be more equitable, beneficial to all countries, especially MBC and LDCs. Many countries would not be able to participate in so-called non-market process due to capacity constraints and not being able to create carbon credits. We think that non-market-based approach in international cooperation can support the adaptation and NDC implementation for all countries, even support the implementation of conditional NDC. Non-market approach can ensure ongoing support for adaptation and even for loss and damage going well into the future, so that developed country must be followed their domestic and homegrown mitigation place in line with fair share of 1.5 degree pathways. Implementing NDC by developed country will be explicit their quantified commitment to support their mitigation and adaptation for MBC and developing countries. Finance to adaptation is also urgent. The global goal on adaptation should be one of the core agenda in COP26, but observing that the developed country want their NDC is solely focused on mitigation and leave adaptation, loss and damage, and oppose the formalize this goal of adaptation under Paris Agreement. This is very frustrating, and due to their ill attitude, financing to the adaptation is very less, which is less than 20% in against the current fund mobilization. We want to say that annual cost of adaptation in poor and developing countries reach 140 to 30 billion by 2030. In such context, we expecting that discourse of new collective climate finance goal will be a frame of climate justice perspective, where financial mobilization process will educate and of course will surpass the 100 billion target, and MBC would be preferably prioritized in access the fund for both adaptation and later than mitigation. We also expect GCF to simplify the process and will facilitate easier access for MBCs. The current process yet more complicated due to impose of huge number of undue queries and documentation procedure. We expect that GCF will address the issue to simplify its procedure so that there should be easy access for MBCs and LDCs. COP26 must deliver on loss and damage finance. The impact of climate change are in fact not averted or minimized through adaptation and mitigation activities. We already living in a reality around the world where violating their human rights are one of the common phenomenon due to climate change. In 2020, more than 30 million people are displaced. Poor or vulnerable country and community are least responsible for climate change, but are already facing the majority of negative impacts. The projected economic cost, loss and damage by 2030 is estimated to be between 290 to 580 billion annually in MBC and developing country. So that scale up new additional finance at a level commensurate with the need is therefore essential for vulnerable countries and communities to recover to build their livelihood and economics, so that COP26 to urgently deliver loss and damage by taking the following actions. Decide to COP26 provide sufficient and need-based loss and damage finance, in addition to the 100 billion per year. Loss and damage finance should also be included in the post-2050 climate finance on the basis of equity, historical responsibility, and applying their polluter pay principle. Established a process to identify the scale of funding, need to address loss and damage, as well as suitable mechanism to deliver the finance to MBC and developing countries. Support developing an MBC in enable national system to distribute loss and damage finance through ensuring country ownership. Full operationalize of the Santiago network for loss and damage that could facilitate this process. This will start at work COP26 in order to start delivering loss and damage by own. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sir Aminul Haq from Bangladesh, as he has pointed out 5 major issues targeting this conference of parties. He mentioned about the net zero emission, 5° Celsius issue, non-market approach, finance for adaptation, and loss and damage. So now I would like to request our colleague, Mr. Soumya Datta, who is representing a coalition of 42 networks based in India. The name of the coalition is MOSUM. So I would like to request Soumya Datta to express his opinion.
Thank you, Mukta bhai, and good evening, everybody.
Oh, excuse me, Dada. We have 4 speakers, so for each of you, we have 3 minutes.
Okay, fine, thank you. So I'll basically highlight why this net zero goal is not only inadequate, it's a fraud, it's not possible. Today, given the time left for addressing collapse of climate systems and Earth system, it's not theoretically possible, it's not practically possible. See, there are basically 2 known methodologies of doing offsets so that some emissions can be, somewhere some negative emission can be done so that it is coming to net zero. That's the whole thing. And all countries have submitted NDCs which are pushing net zero, means they will not reduce their emissions to zero, but give some money so that this can be offset. The first route is through the biological route. That means you do some plantation somewhere and then that sequesters carbon and that offsets your emission. But given the time, any plantation, even very high growth plantation, take at least 8 to 10 years to go to a reasonable level where they start sequestering at a reasonable level of carbon dioxide. We don't have that time. We have to reduce our emissions by half by 2030, but maybe even more. The second route, and there are no place where you can do a plantation in the scale of, say, 4 Indias. The second route possible, as far as we know, is actually sequestering carbon dioxide from the atmosphere or from the stacks. There are no known technology today which is demonstrated at scale. The only technology demonstrated at scale is enhanced oil and gas recovery. That means you produce more petroleum and more natural gas. That's obviously out of the question. The other biggest demonstration plan that has come up is in Iceland. It's limited to a very narrow geological region. You need a specific geological condition. Without that, you cannot do that kind of sequestration. And that is sequestering 500 tons. It's not million tons, it's not billion tons. So these are being posed to us that this will become operational, this will be scaled up to global levels, and then this will be employed to sequester the carbon dioxide that we emit. This is worse than the mythology, but many mythologies are closer to reality. This is even far removed from mythology. This is just being pushed to fool us and to let the capitalist, industrial, extractive, profit-making system to continue, emit to extraction of oil, coal, gas, to burn them and to profit from them. So from South Asian movements, we outrightly reject this false, fraudulent, impossible net zero goal. We demand that all countries submit their NDCs with real zero targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya Datta, for explaining us on the myth and reality of net zero emission. So now I would like to request my colleague Shamim Arifin, who is the Executive Director of AOSET, which is a regional non-government organization in the coastal part of Bangladesh. Shamim Arifin.
Thank you. dear moderator and distinguished guest and our journalist and all participants. I am here on behalf of Southeast Coastal Region Vulnerable Community, and I would like to share some very short scenario, especially loss and damage. This is very interesting when we talk about this loss and damage, and when the when we ask and we urge so for the financing for the loss and damage, that time we're facing a lot of problem. This is the realities. So globally, it's a global platform. That's why I would like to share our grassroots voice. At first, we would like to share on urban and rural problem, because a lot of people who are living in our village area, they day by day they losing their agriculture land, and others occupational group, they also under threatening, and they become in the shelter in the Khulna city area and other city area also. So this is very difficult for themselves as well as the city authority to provide their proper support for the basic support and others. That's why we need to finance. It's a very urgent requirement for themselves as well as to their basic service and others. At the same time, we need to consider if every year Sunwan said and sudden register, due to sudden register, lot of people is gathered in the city, that could be impossible to in future to absorb themselves. That's why we need to training, capacity development, especially for resilience on the community, and the threatening people, the vulnerable people in the rural areas. That's why they will sustain their own community, and they reduce the climate migrant people in the city area. So in this regard, I would like to share this last one. The people, when they come in the city area, they lost not only economical context, they lost their social bonding, lost their heritage, lost their culture. So we need to consider this thing. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Shamim Arifin, for explaining the grassroots realities. And this is why we raise our expectation, we demand our issues here in the Conference of Parties. So now I would like to request my colleague, Ali Asghar Tipu from KCC.
Thank you.
Please, you have only 3 minutes. Yeah, maximum 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dear moderator, presenter and respected guests, a warm welcome. I am very happy to be here to speak and share my thought with all of you. As you know, Khulna city is a key destination of climate victims. From the vulnerable coast, mushrooming of salons offer very miserable life for the climate victims. This also puts additional pressure to civic facilities, depriving our city residents. As a public representative, a panel mayor and elected city councillor of Khulna city, I must say we should have a joint effort to mobilize resource, finance and technology to combat the impacts of climate change. Finally, I am sure Bangladesh government under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will successfully the climate issues, address the successfully climate issues. Thanks you all for hearing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alias Gutipu, who is a panel commissioner of Khulna City Corporation. It's really very good to see that being elected local representative, you are joining us here, and you are raising your expectation, and you are echoing what the people of Bangladesh are thinking at this moment on the issues around climate change. Thank you. So now I would like to request Mr. Jahangir Hossain Masoom, who is Executive Director of CDP, a coastal regional organization in Bangladesh. So you have maximum 3 minutes, Masoom bhai.
Okay, thank you, Chair Moderator. We have already spending the first week of COP, and if you see our statement, it's quite long. So that means that many issues are still unresolved. Especially, we think that 123 world leaders came here. They did a lot of big talks. But we have not seen clear guidelines to address key negotiation issues, especially on climate finance, loss and damage, Article 6, and emission reduction targets. So, as a representative, we want that this kind of injustice has to be stopped, because we don't need false solutions like the net zero concepts. We need real action, and for that we need really finance very urgently. Of course, the emission reduction, it falls to the developed countries, but at the same time, for adaptation, for addressing loss and damage, clear and urgent finance is required. And if we see the studies, there is already, for loss and damage, you need more than 200 billion per year. And what we are really fighting in the COP is 100 billion per year for adaptation only. So we have to raise our voice for the finance very much. And I would request everybody that we should not be misguided by the different concepts introduced by the developed countries in the negotiations. We should stick in our own positions and our urgent needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jahangir Hossain Masoom from CDP Bangladesh. So now I would like to request my colleague Shamsud Doha to reflect on the press conference. And you have 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you, my colleague, Mr. Syed Aminul Haq. And as you understand that Syed Aminul Haq has narrated civil society position that includes 5 demands. But if you ask me, then honestly, I would like to stick on one single demand. This is limiting global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And if we fail to limit global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade, then all the demands what we have raised today, funding for adaptation, funding for loss and damage, and also funding for technology transfer and development will not work, because we will push towards a limit that we will not be able to adapt and we will not be able to withstand. So given the context, if we concentrate to our demand, that the demand is not nothing new. We have raised demand in 2009, and this has been oil captured by Paris Agreement, and all the political leaders have agreed that they will try to limit global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And after 7 years, we adopted Paris Agreement in 2015, and that also said that the global leadership will try to identify the scopes of limiting global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade, though it has been said that they will limit global average temperature well below 2 degrees centigrade. But after the Paris Agreement, we spent around 5 years now, but still we failed to agree on the Paris rulebook. So unless we have a Paris rulebook in place, we will not be able to implement the Paris Agreement, and we will not be able to force emission reduction activities and emission reduction actions in national level, because you know that the key building block of Paris Agreement is national retirement contributions. And before that, we said that this is commitment of emission reduction, but we're talking about contributions. So there are some flexibility in terms of implementing Paris Agreement. Still, we have the opportunity to increase our mitigation commitments under the national retirement contributions. We first submitted the national retirement contribution on which Paris Agreement has been built on, and after that, we submitted the enhanced NDCs, I mean, few months or 6 months back. But if we calculate the aggregate emission reduction that has been said by Paris Agreement, said by the enhanced NDCs, still we are far behind from our targets. And if we implement fully the enhanced NDCs target, still we may reach to 2.7 degrees temperature rise from the pre-industrial level. So I would be happy, and I think you all will be happy, if the political leadership are honest here and they commit to limit global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade. We have other demands. The demands include finance for loss and damage, finance for adaptation, and we have seen that before, that the finance played a very tricky role, and developing countries, LDCs, trade off their key demand for having some finances, and the finance is not that much. This is pretty finance. This is only 100 million or 200 million US dollars. So from this COP, we want to raise our voice that we should not trade off our key demand, that is limiting global average temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade, for having some finances also. Only. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shamsuddoha, for pointing out the key issue that we are demanding for quite a long time. Here, let me share you that the 1.5 degrees Celsius issue is not something new. It is not something that has been adopted in Copenhagen. Before the climate negotiations started in 2007, this round of negotiations, James G. Hansen, you know, the American scientist, he wrote a lot, and he tried to influence the policymakers and the civil society organizations to take a stand on the issue of 1.5 degrees Celsius. But we have proven that the political society, the civil society, all of them, they have failed to listen what science we are saying. So now, in this conference of parties, as parties and non-party observers, they are discussing, negotiating. I'd like to make the call that please listen to the science. Bypassing the science only with the political interest, you are not in a position, you should not be allowed to do something ignoring people. Thank you very much. As we don't have much time for question and answer, we have only 1 minute. If there is any crucial question in few seconds, probably please make it very short, and we will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Basically, Professor of Urban Planning in Khulna Engineering University. As I observed that all of us is opposing the concept of net zero, but I find that this did not come out of blue. If you can recall, in our Kyoto Protocol, it has provision for CDMA, Clean Development Mechanism, keep provision for this joint implementation mechanism. Its ultimate result is to get net zero result. But why all of you are so aware, I'm sure, that did not oppose this concept?
We have only 15 seconds. Can you say one sentence in response to that?
One, CDMs have failed completely to reduce emissions in the buying countries, the selling countries, and globally. We have seen the FREEDM frauds. CDM has not only failed to reduce emission, CDMs have displaced millions of people by the projects, And CDMs have given opportunity for the emitters to continue their emission.
Thank you very much, Sommoda. I think we have finished our time. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.